Hello brothers, this is a discussion on the damage model of Space Marine 2 presented by yours truly. First of all, let me start off with saying that I adore this game. I think this game has quite literally been life-changing. I've never imagined my channel to have so many people watching, and it's mostly thanks to this game. Now, despite all that, I am very passionate about the game, and I do think there are some problems inherent to the game's damage system as of currently. And in this presentation, I wish to bring my thoughts on the matter, and hopefully the developers can agree with some of these and make changes accordingly. Now let's get started. So there are two primary ways, obviously, to deal damage in this game, and one being melee damage and the other being range damage. And for the purpose of this video, we will not be talking about melee because melee is a much more complex topic than range damage in this game. Things like defense type, movesets, frame advantages, hitboxes, and cleaves, they're all very important in order to discuss the melee combat in this game. So using damage alone as a metric is not going to paint a very good picture of how the melee system is. Therefore, in this video, we will not be talking about the melee weapons. Now, when it comes to range damage, there are two ways to dealing range damage, and one is the right way and the other is the wrong way. You might be asking me, oh, what do you mean by there's a wrong way or there's a right way or a wrong way? And to that I mean there is headshot and body shot. And for those of you who are like me, who have played for an extensive amount of time, you will know when I say there's a right way and a wrong way to play or to shooting enemies in this game, because for some reason headshot damage don't seem to do much. And let's take a look at this Tyranid warrior unit here, right? So if we look at the top right corner, we will see that there is a body part damage modifier stats, and headshot does double damage. And you might be saying, oh cool, so any damage dealt to the head will do double the damage, right? And to that I say, no, think again. And to illustrate that, here is the bolt rifle in question. Now the bolt rifle, with the stats over here, this is the Cathalamor Crusade version, which is the accuracy bolt rifle. You can see on the far right over there, there's a headshot multiplier, and it is 2. Now this multiplier is independently applied when it comes to calculating the damage compared to the inherent enemy headshot damage. So really, what we're doing is not just double the damage, but we are doing quadruple the damage. Just to illustrate this, we have the Cathalamor Crusade pattern, the accuracy bolt rifle. The base damage is 4.32. Now, if we were to make an attack against a warrior, a melee warrior in its head, we would double the damage first because it is hitting the head of the warrior, and then we will double it again because this is the inherent headshot modifier of our bolt rifle. So really, we are doing 17.28 damage. Now this would mean that if we were to use this weapon to kill a warrior, it would take around 18 shots because a warrior has 308 HP on lethal plus difficulties. Now it is quite a bit a lot, but perks do help a lot. For example, the bolt rifle, which has 3 headhunters you can pick up on its perk trees. This will increase each individual shot's damage to 23.17. So now our breakpoint will be changed from 18 shots to around 14 shots, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is from 3 perks that you can very easily pick up from this weapon. So there's that. Now, what is our time to kill if we were to land 100% headshots, right? And if we were to calculate that, the number we get is 3.819 seconds. So that is almost 4 seconds of continuously hitting the head without missing a single shot. Now, people who have watched my channel regularly or since a long time ago will have known I don't really like using stuff like DPS or like even time to kill or bullet to kill can sometimes be a bit misrepresentative of how consistent a weapon performs. But I still think time to kill and bullet to kill is are better metrics than DPS, because the longer time you spend, or the more bullets you spend shooting at an enemy, the more room you have for making mistakes. Therefore, 4 seconds. You may be saying, okay, this is just a skill issue thing. If you can't land your headshots, all headshots within 4 seconds. Okay, yeah, that's true. That is a skill issue, but with how chaotic the game is, 4 seconds is a very long time to be that accurate. And like I said, the longer time you spend shooting at something, the more chances you have for making mistakes. So 4 seconds, pretty long. Now, inversely, if we were to be doing body shots instead, how much time and how much bullet are we spending? If we were to calculate that, it would take 72 bullets to kill a single warrior with the bolt rifle, and it would take 15.3 seconds to kill that warrior if you don't miss a single shot. Now, those of you who are keen will know that you only have 150 total ammo for this bolt rifle without any perks. So really, you're using half your total reserve just to kill a single enemy. And now, a lot of people have already complained that the damage model in this game doesn't make sense, and these are just hard numbers to for you to gauge that indeed you take a lot of bullets to kill enemies in this game if you don't hit them in the right spots. And that is the reason why I said there is a right way and a wrong way to deal range damage in this game. And those of you who are long-time viewers may already know this, but from that poll I've made months ago, it is surprising, it is staggering how much of the community actually doesn't know about the parry bonus. Now, the parry bonus is named this way because at first block didn't apply this bonus because blocking wasn't really a mechanic at all. In any case, when you parry an enemy, when you parry or perfectly blocked an enemy with a block weapon, you increase the damage they take by 50% for the next 2.2 seconds. Now, with this knowledge in mind, our headshot damage is now about 6.48. So our bullet to kill is reduced from 18 to 12, which is about a 33% reduction. And our time to kill is similarly reduced from 3.82 to 2.55 seconds. Now, our bullet to kill for body shot is 47.5, down from 71.3, and the time to kill is 10.2 seconds, down from 15.3. Now, these are the expected values because we are just increasing damage by 50%. So it makes sense that we are reducing the these values by about 30%, 33% or so. Now, with an understanding of how the range damage in this game works, we will talk about the issues that once you've played enough, you might start to realize. And I have broken them down to 4 major issues that I would like to see acknowledged and changed. Now, the first thing is body shot damage in this game is very punishing. If you hit the body, you might as well have just missed your shot, because even if you do deal damage, it's not like that little amount of damage is going to amount to much when it comes to if the rest of your shots are headshots, it might not change the breakpoint. It's not going to matter all that much. That damage might as well be wasted. You might as well be missing your shots. And this game's hitbox is kind of precise, and it's really not that strange if you are aiming for the head of an enemy and you accidentally hit like a stray limb. Like, this happens a lot when you're fighting Tyranids. It also happens when you're fighting Chaos, especially with the Chaos spawn, which doesn't really have a head. And this problem here is just something I put in there. Rubrix Maring's hitbox are very janky, especially the ones with the Pharaoh hat. The head is way smaller than it actually seems. And number 2 is Minoris. Minoris enemies also suffer from this issue. Now, the Hormigons admittedly aren't as bad of a offender in this case, because they do take 3 times damage from pretty much any ranged sources. So it would mean that they take fewer shots to kill than something like the Tangor, which for some reason only takes 1 times damage from everything. So when I was writing this, I literally went back into the game just to see how many bullets it would kill, or it would take for me to kill a single Tangor with a bolt pistol, which did like 3.8 damage, and it literally took over 10 bullets because, well, they have 44 health and each bullet is only doing like 3.7. So, you know, that's just how the game is, and that's why Zangors are so tanky. Now, both the Hormagaunts, Termagants, both the Gaunts and the Tangors take 8 times damage from a single headshot. So, at this point, most weapons should be able to kill them in 1 shot. But at one point, the bolt pistol was not able to kill a Tangor with a headshot, if I remember correctly. That was before all the buffs to it. And number 3 is the weapon. This is in regards to the weapon variant system, and the damage variant of pretty much everything in the game. They're not very good. So how it works right now is that almost all of the damage variants are 12.5% or 18.75% over the other versions. And there are some weapons like the bolt sniper rifle that doesn't follow by this rule, but in general, most weapons follow this pattern. And something to keep in mind is that our base damage is usually in the single digits, right? Most of the bolt rifles will not have over 10 damage, and the bolt sniper rifle does have like 15 or 17 damage, but they're kind of the exception there. And because the damage bonus is only applied to the base damage, our breakpoint changes are not very noticeable. And here I will use 3 weapons to illustrate my point, and these are the bolt pistol, bolt rifle, and the bolt sniper rifle. And this table over here is the bolt pistol, the damage variant versus the other variants. Now, because the bolt pistol is kind of an exception because it doesn't have a the headshot bonus on the damage version, and the other versions are all the same. So we will see how for the damage version, our base damage obviously has a 12.5% bonus, and TTK is time to kill, bullet to kill is BTK, and you can see here, obviously because the headshot damage modifier is the same for all of the bolt pistols, it makes sense that the damage variants will have better time to kill, better time or bullet to kill for body shot or headshots, etc. And it will have a better ammo economy as well. But something to take notice is that despite this 12.5% bonus here, realistically our time to kill is I mean, in this case it's 3 seconds is almost 3 seconds is it wouldn't be negligible, but I wouldn't call it like super significant. Now these are all this is body shots, so you know we're not gonna play the game wrong here, we're gonna play the game right. So we're gonna talk about the time to kill with the head and the bullet to kill. And for our time to kill here, the time difference here, yeah, I did write down like 15.8%, but really the time difference here is a second, just a single second, right? That's now if the 1 second was if percentage wise, if it were bigger, then yeah, maybe it will make a big difference. But in this case, 15.8%, I don't really think it's that impressive, especially considering the damage version also has lower accuracy than something like the accuracy version, which means that you are less consistent with it. I don't really think this is like a huge benefit over the other versions in terms of this particular bracket. Now, if we look at the bullet to kill here, we have 28 bullets versus 33 bullets compared to the other version. And yeah, saving 5 bullets, I guess you are technically saving 5 bullets, but really you're not gonna feel all that different, honestly. And I think another thing we have to look at over here is the ammo economy here, which is just the percentage of ammo you spent shooting that enemy with a headshot divided by the total ammo you have. And you can see here the damage bolt pistol has a almost 18% ammo used for killing a single warrior, whereas the accuracy will also spend around 21%, and the ammo version will spend about 18.3%. Yeah, technically it is an improvement, but really 3.2% or 0.38% ammo economy difference. You would not use this weapon because you want to save bullet. You are saving bullets, but you're not saving that much more bullet. Now, the bolt pistol is also is an exception, also because it is a weapon that can change your gun strike damage. So, a lot of the suggestion made later down the line will not apply to secondary weapons here, because secondary weapons have gun strike, and trust me when I say this, the bolt pistol does not need more gun strike damage. Now, the next example we have here is the bolt rifle. Now, the bolt rifle, like most of the bolt weapons in the game, have this strange buff applied to it where the accuracy version will have higher headshot damage modifier. Now, the base damage of obviously the damage version is higher by about 18.75%, and the time to kill for body shot is 12.86 for the damage version, and 15.27 again. While this is technically a advantage here for the damage bolt rifle, we don't really want to talk about this because shooting the body in this game right now is using the gun the wrong way. And even so, you're saving like 10 bullets over here, 11 bullets over here. It's really not that impressive. Anyway, we look at the accuracy version, where it shines is the time to kill for the headshot. Now, we see a reduction of around 10%, which, while I did say earlier it's not like a huge difference, in this case, for the accuracy one, it really is, because, like I said, the accuracy version is a lot more consistent when it comes to making accurate shots, and being able to reduce the amount of time you spend when the time to kill for the damage version is already so low is a real advantage here. And even then, because this gun is so accurate, you can be much more consistent with it, so it's more feasible. It's more likely that you can achieve this theoretical ideal number than the damage version here. Now, the bullet to kill here, we can also see there's like we also spend 3 less bullets than the damage version when you use the accuracy version. Again, it's not huge. It's not exactly a huge bonus there, but it is strange that the damage version does not deal more damage than the accuracy version, doesn't it? Anyway, the same story goes for the ammo percentage used. You save a little more ammo for the accuracy version. Now, let's take a look at the bolt sniper. Now, the bolt sniper is also unique among the bolt weapons because the damage version is the only version with a slightly better headshot damage modifier. It has a base damage of 17 versus the other versions 15. And I didn't talk about the speed rate of fire version because that one would require me to do another TTK here, and I don't really want to like write a whole bunch of things down. Anyway, interesting thing about the bolt sniper, and one of the reasons why it, in my opinion, well, I don't think it's in my opinion, it's in everyone's opinion that it sucks, is if we look at the time to kill for the body and the bullet to kill for the body here, the time to kill here is absurd, right? 18 seconds. It's longer than the bolt pistol. It's longer than the bolt rifle because it shoots so slow. But, you know, that's to be expected. But if we look at the bullet to kill here, you need 19 bullets if you don't have any single perks, that is. If you don't have any perks to kill a single warrior, a melee warrior on lethal plus difficulties, you only have 18 bullets, so you literally would run out of ammo before you're even able to kill a warrior with this thing. At least the ammo version, you'll be left with like a magazine, 7 bullets, but you know, we're not really winning any races here. It's like winning the Special Olympics here. And the time to kill here is marked down because the bolt sniper rifles can only shoot 1 bullet at once, so realistically this is 4 seconds and this is 5 seconds. The bullet to kill here, we actually see a pretty, I would say this is a sizable benefit. This is a sizable benefit of the damaged bolt sniper rifle, and there are actually very tangible benefits to using this particular version. Even though you have to squeeze every drop of being out of this gun to be able to do that kind of stuff, but you have a 20% ammo usage reduction compared to the ammo version. Now this changes the breakpoint from 5 shots to 4 shots, which if you weren't a sniper rifle with such little ammo, that would be a pretty sizable difference. But alas, if we look at the ammo econ stats here, the damage version uses 22.22% of its ammo to kill a single warrior, whereas the ammo version will use 18. So practically they're the same. But again, why does the damage version have such poor ammo economy when it's just killing a single warrior? Okay, so now let's talk about some trends we have here. Weapons with better headshot bonus obviously have better time to kill and bullet to kill on headshot weapons, because that's the rule, that's the name of the game, right? We want to make headshots and we don't want to make body shots. And despite having theoretically better breakpoints, especially on the body shots, damage variants don't really provide very meaningful time to kill or bullet to kill improvements there. And ammo econ is largely unchanged, or it's largely the same, or it's worse in most cases. And my opinion on this is this balancing just makes no sense. Damage variants, they provide very minuscule breakpoint changes over the other versions, and that should have not been the case. That should have been its strength. That the strength of the damage weapons should have been that they provide better breakpoints. Therefore, you are more encouraged to use these weapons against larger enemies, and you're also more encouraged to saving your bullets for specific threats. And they're not more ammo efficient because the accuracy version, like I've said, is more consistent at landing shots and also having better breakpoints. And the ammo versions simply have more ammo. So don't know why it's less ammo efficient than either of these guys. And this is a point I've brought up times and times again. Accuracy version simply gets more damage and more accuracy, and it just doesn't make any sense. And the last observable issues that we have here, and this is something that everybody should really be talking about, is Auspex. Auspex is essentially a static modifier. Basically means that it's just a 50% bonus to any damage you're dealing to an enemy, except for equipments. Now, by default, it's 50%, but you can get this number up to like 175%, which is not 1.75, but 2.75 times to your damage. So that's absurdly large there. And because of this potential, our bullet to kill and time to kill for weapons across the board becomes very, very low. And I would say it's more accurate to be that low in some cases, but that's just how it is, right? Because the tactical has access to most of the bolt weapons, it is impossible to talk about these weapons without addressing the fact that the class that has access to these weapons happens to have Auspex, and it is therefore very understandable that Saber has balanced the bolt weapons with this ability in mind. Now let's provide some critiques to the observable issues that I've mentioned before. So we start off with the body shot damage here. I think it's just kind of strange. It's kind of like a bipolar gameplay design. Bipolar as in like for a game that is so casual. It's not okay. Let's just face it, guys. Like, I love this game and all, but this game is very casual in nature. The game does not require a ton of mechanical skills. It does have some knowledge checks, but it is definitely not a difficult game. It is a very casual game in nature. But in a game that is this casual, why the hell are the range damage models so strange? Why is it that you have to be punished so hard if you don't hit the head? Like, to a point where if you hit the body, you might as well have just be shooting the air. It's just confusing. Now, I can understand why range damage is made this way, at least from my observation. The first thing is that the Tyrannid faction has Synaptic Burst. If the range combat were so easy, and you'll be able to dispatch these larger Majoris enemies or Extremis enemies from far, you can make a joke out of the Minoris horde. And similarly, if Majora's enemies are not as easily dispatched, it could make them feel more challenging. It'll make more each encounter feel more visceral. It makes it feel more personal. Like, it makes sense why you should be engaging in melee in these guys, because you can't finish them off in range all the time that easily. And another point is that range damage is something you can do from very far away, so it is relatively safe. And there is a global parry bonus that can be consistently achieved in this game, and also because of obviously the Auspex. Now, to each of those points, I ask, so Tyranid faction does have synectic burst, but the Chaos faction has no such mechanics, so it's not really a reason why for half the game's faction why range damage should be so limited. And the second point is that Majora's enemies are not that rare. They are very numerous, and you can still kill them very easily by melee or by other means, right? You don't have to be using range combat. Hell, I mean, some weapons are called range weapons, but they are just a melee weapon with ammo counter. So yeah, sure, you could argue that it makes the enemies feel more it makes it more likely for you to be engaging in melee combat with the enemies, but you can still kill them really quickly. So if we want to make Majora's enemies tougher, the game is not doing a very good job at it. Now, hitting the body is, like I said, it's very unjustifiably punishing, right? So besides the fact that they don't die, they also flinch a lot, and it even for enemies like the Majora's enemies, when they flinch, it really throws off your aim a lot, and it's just frustrating at times when you got the perfect drop on this dude, but then like because he flinched or whatever, and your shot just missed, and it just doesn't feel good that way. Now, you talking about the parry bonus when it comes to the discussing range combat. If you're getting that close to leverage your parry bonus that consistently, you might as well just not use your gun, because you have to be in the face of your enemy in the first place, and that kind of just defeats the point of using a gun, right? And lastly, Auspex is just a nightmare to balance around. It's hard to talk about the damage model of the game without wanting to rebalance Auspex, because if you have it on, everything just dies instantly, and if you don't, they just don't die. At least that's the case for the bolt weapons. And anyway, that's something we'll talk about further later. Now, number two, when it comes to Minoris enemies, it really makes no sense why Tangor should be so much tankier than the Gaunts. Is this like some sort of design philosophy to make chaos feel more threatening, or is this because GW has decided that the Tangor needed a refresh and therefore they need to be represented more as a threat in the game or something? I don't know, but all I know is that I don't want to be spending like 5 times more bullets on a Minoris enemy if I hit their head. Like they're, because of the stray limbs issue I've been talking about, it's like sometimes even if you have your crosshair on the head, the bullet will hit their arms or their claws or whatever, and you just end up doing nothing to the enemies and make them flinch backward or whatever, and you miss every single shot after that because they just flinch uncontrollably. It just feels terrible. Again, headshot should be a reward, and not because the alternative is just wasting your bullets. It's proper risk and reward, and there is no reward here, only like risks, only like punishments. That's just not good game design philosophy for me. Now I can understand why Minoris enemies are tanky in some capacity. There is a mechanic called the push mechanic, as I dubbed the push mechanic, and this happens when you're, for example, if you're shooting into a horde of Minoris enemies, and if you don't kill the person, or if you don't kill the thing that you hit, you will notice that enemies get pushed back in waves. And this doesn't happen if the enemy you hit dies. So, for example, if you shoot a Gaunt in the head, its body won't push the enemies around him, or its body won't push the enemies around the dead enemy back. But if it's not dead, it'll push a lot of people behind, and that is the push mechanic, right? If the enemies die too quickly, if they die in a single shot, this mechanic does not get represented. And for the chaos faction, you could argue that Minoris enemies aren't as numerous and therefore they can be tanky. But I don't understand why, number one, the push mechanic is an issue in the first place, because like I said, most players would aim for the head in the first place anyway, and weapons that excel at horde control that are bolt weapons, for example the heavy bolter, that thing can churn through horde, and not because of the push mechanic, but because of the fact that you're killing the horde. You're killing multiple enemies in one shot because there's a lot of them, and your bullet can go through a lot of them, and you can just kill lots of them instantly. And those that don't get killed, they do get pushed back. So that's the reason why I don't think this is an issue, because your headshot is already killing the enemies in one hit. So why is it that if you're doing more damage to the body, why is it that would be a detriment to the push mechanic? And honestly, as long as they don't die to a single body shot, this mechanic can be preserved. But like I always also said, if your weapon has enough penetration, you'll just straight up kill the horde. If it's doing more than, if it's killing them in one shot, you'll just straight up churn through the horde anyway. There's no need for the push mechanic to exist in that situation. And yeah, I'm not gonna use the parry bonus as a thing here, because first of all, if you're parrying a Minoris enemy, they're probably already dead if you're using a fencing or a balanced weapon. And if you're using a blocking weapon, you're not going to be shooting those Minoris. You're going to be blocking and then attacking them with their melee attacks, because you'll just decimate them anyway. Also, about the last point about Sangors being, because they're less numerous, they're allowed to be tanky. I think the reason why they had to reduce the number of the Tangor was because they were too tanky. So if they made them less tanky, they could in change make the Tangors more numerous. And I honestly think that is a much better way to balance these enemies. Not only do you normalize the damage between two factions, you also make Chaos feel more like a horde faction. Now, number 3, I just don't think there's an excuse for Saber with how they've managed the damage variant for ranged weapons. We have seen tons of tiny little buffs throughout the year, but all I see is they have no idea what they want to do with the damage variants. Because I mean, if they didn't know what they're trying to do with the damage variants, they would have put the headshot bonus on these weapons instead of the accuracy version, right? And I think there's like a very clear lack of understanding of what the role of the damage variants for the ranged weapons should be. And at the moment, they excel in nothing outside of body shot damage, which again is the wrong way to play the game, right? Because that's what Saber has been teaching us all this time. Now, I think damage variants need to be specialized into becoming like a single target takedown weapon, right? You want to save the ammo for these special occasions. You don't have the same accuracy as the accuracy version. You also don't have the ammo capacity of the ammo version. So naturally, you want to save your more powerful weapon against bigger threats. So that should be the role that the damage variant should have. And lastly, we talk about the Auspex, and I'm just gonna say it right now. I think Auspex is just way too powerful. Like this, we're talking, if we add the parry bonus, we're talking about these are all multiplicative too. And I think Saber has really balanced himself into a whole when they've decided to make so many things interact with one another in this manner. It makes balancing a nightmare, and clearly they don't have a full grasp on how some of their stuff, some of their own games should be balanced as well. And because Auspex is so powerful, that they needed to compensate by making the base weapons, especially the bolt weapons, extremely weak. That way, it doesn't feel like the game will be too easy when Auspex is on, which I mean it already is. So they've clearly failed in that regard. And Auspex also affects melee damage, right? So, or rather, attacks that have a lot of damage don't really benefit all that much from Auspex. So, for example, like a block weapon, sure you can do the funny one shot, but is that really what you want all the time, right? Sometimes I've managed to hit an enemy with a fully empowered block Thunderhammer, and they happen to be Auspex, and instead of getting an execution, I just kill them outright. And sometimes I don't want that. And you also have the issue of the funny one shot, which they seem so averse for making whenever the game just came out, right? They've nerfed the several bugs against the Helldrake and the Hive Tyrant when it comes to Melta Bombs, and now that they've removed the damage cap for melee weapons, and I think also ranged weapons as well, we see the funny Carnifex one-shot kills with the Power Gladius and Auspex. So clearly, I think this is a sign that Auspex is just more trouble than it's worth as it is right now. They've really power crept themselves to a point where everything just does way too much damage with Auspex on. And the problem is not because everything else is doing too much damage, but it's because Auspex is just too powerful. And this creates another problem, which is it reinforces the meta of having your Auspex to be the most powerful it can be, and that significantly limits the gear selection of the tactical class, which I have talked about in my feedback video as well. So, what are some solutions that we could potentially offer to Saber, right? I will be talking about a realistic version and also an idealized version, which the former I would expect some maybe to make it into the game one day, and the ideal version I just don't expect that to happen until maybe Space Marine 3. Anyway, for the first issue, body shot damage, I think it is reasonable to increase the body shot damage of Minoris and Extremis enemies to about 1 or 2 times, and you can kind of see how this is a issue here, right? Because of the way that Saber has designed the damage model from the ground up. If they want to increase the damage of the base weapon without changing the base damage of the weapon itself, they have to increase the modifier of the body modifier of the enemy. But if I were to increase it to 2 times, that's already the same as the headshot, and I can't increase it anymore because at that point shooting the body would do more damage than the headshots, and that gameplay, that in terms of gameplay, just doesn't make much sense. Anyway, because most bow weapons have headshot bonus, if we were to increase the body shot damage to be about the same as the headshot damage for Extremis and Minoris enemies, or Extremis and Majoris enemies, most weapons that have innate headshot bonus damage will still do more damage. The SMG carbine is one of the exceptions. I don't know if there's another weapon like that. In any case, the damage we'll be expecting here is, for example, with the bolt rifle, is only about 8 damage, which doesn't sound like a lot, but remember, we are when we calculated the damage for what we have right now, it took about 72 bullets, right? And then if we double that, it would reduce the damage required to like 30 bullets. 35 bullets, which is still a lot to be frank, but I think it's a lot more acceptable than what we have right now. Now, number 2, the Minoris damage model needs to be normalized. First of all, Tangors and Hormigons, they need to take the same amount of damage. There's this thing with the plasma incinerator. There's a build you can make for it where you only use the common shots, but it doesn't work on Chaos Faction because Tangors take no damage from the plasma guns, and that build is just dead in that if you're fighting that faction, and it's just unfortunate. But if it worked, if the Tangors took the same amount of damage as the Hormigons, that build could work too, and it will also just make Minoris a lot more bearable. I also think that these guys should not take more than 3 rounds of any given weapons to kill when it comes to body shot. And more powerful weapons like the sniper rifle, single shot should be able to kill them instantly. And other bolt weapons, depending on their magazine size, fire rate, etc., should be able to kill them in like 3 shots, 2 shot, 1 shot, doesn't matter. I just don't want to be spending like 5 shots on these guys. Anyway, another thing is we should normalize the spawn rate of the Minoris enemies. And this one little thing I've maintained for quite a bit now, ever since the changes made to the synaptic burst. I think if we were to instill these changes to the game right now, it will make the Tyrant infection extremely easy, because first of all, it'd be much easier to kill Majora's enemies and Majora's and Extremis enemies, right? And because of how much damage Synaptic Burst do, you'll be able to make a joke out of the Minoris horde here. I mean, you can already kind of do that, but I honestly think for the betterment of the game, it's better if we reverted the Synaptic Burst damage to launch, where they don't die instantly, but they take significant damage and also get stunned, which I think is reward enough. Killing them, having like a single warrior die in the middle of a Minoris wave and then just having all of them die there, it just I think it's too much. Now, number 3, we talk about the damage variant issue here. There's no other way to put it around it besides we need to have very deliberate and very meaningful damage differences between the damage variants and the other variants. And I'm sorry, Saber, you just have to do math. That's just how it goes. You can't just do what you've been doing, like 13.5% more damage. You just can't do that anymore. If you want to have a weapon, like I've described, where a weapon that is more there is more in tune with, in terms of a weapon that is designed for killing single high value targets, it needs to have a much better breakpoint in general. And I think a good point to start would be around 30% reduction. Hell, I mean, like 20%, 25%, 30% doesn't matter. I just think 30% is where you get very tangible feeling of oh yeah, this gun does way more damage than the other ones. Like the ammo versions for a lot of weapons get huge amount of ammo. Like for example, the bolt rifle, you get like, I think you get like 100% more ammo. That's very significant. How come you can't do that for the damage version, right? Now, just as a simple math lesson, I'm not a math guy, but if I can do this, so if I want the damage bolt rifle to take, I don't know, 33% less ammo, or yeah, ammo to kill a single warrior unit, and naturally it has to have the same, I also think it needs to have the same headshot modifier. Anyway, so 18 is the accuracy bolt rifle's bullet to kill, and 66% of that is 12. So I just divide the health of the warrior by 12, and I got 25.67, and which I'll divide by 4, and my new base damage is 6.41. Voila, that is how you balance the base damage of a weapon, using the breakpoint as your start. And number 4, Auspex really needs to be readjusted. And when I say readjusted, what I really mean is just nerfing, because the damage bonus is simply too much, especially since it's multiplicative. And since we have a perk, we have perks like Battle Focus where you just get free Auspex on your parry. Oh, it's too good to pass on, and that's not good for the build variety of the tactical. And yeah, sure, this if we were to nerf Auspex, it will harm non-headshot weapons, it will harm melee weapon, it will harm a plasma weapon. Not so much, I'm not sure if pyro weapon will be affected, but these weapons that require no aiming will be harmed. But at the same time, these weapons require no aiming, so you know, I think it's okay. It's perfectly acceptable for these weapons that are relatively easy to use to not benefit as much for Auspex. And the reason why bolt weapons perform so well with Auspex is because they have longer ranges than these other versions these other weapons I've talked about, right? It has more range than the Melta, it has more range than the Flamers, it has more range than the... Technically, it doesn't have more range than the Plasma, but it's easier to use at range than the Plasma. And that's the reason why Auspex is so powerful with it. And I don't think we should lose that ability. I think Auspex should, while it should be adjusted, it should also maintain its performance in regards to the newly buffed bolt weapons, such that it doesn't feel any different. Now, these are some realistic changes that I think will benefit the game. For example, the bolt weapon. The bolt weapons, I think, maybe with the exception to the heavy bolter, but most of the bolt weapons need to have their base increased by a lot. Base damage increased by maybe like 50%, maybe like even doubling. And this will serve to make our time to kill and bullet to kill a lot lower. But, and this is a big but, is in return, we also have to give up our ammo. And that could be in the form of reserve or magazine, maybe both. As long as the total damage output is about the same, I think this is a reasonable trade-off. And I did make a community poll before where I asked if people would prefer if the bolt weapons do more damage but have less ammo, and most people did agree with that. So for example, 50% damage increase means we reduce our ammo capacity by 33%. And I think this is a reasonable change, because not only would this change make the weapons feel more impactful, I think it will also reinforce the idea of resource management, which is a key part of this game's difficulty. And I think that's always good. I think resource management is very important in Space Marine 2, and it's fairly well done. And I don't think reinforcing this point would be harmful to the game's gameplay loop at all. Now for the bolt snipers, I did promise that I will make a separate video for this weapon, or this class of weapon. But for now, I think bolt snipers just need to have a damage increase. It doesn't need more ammo. It doesn't need other things. It just needs better damage in terms of base and also headshot multiplier. I honestly think if the bolt rifle just performed like, the bolt sniper rifle just performed like the heroic bolt sniper rifle, it will be a good start. And obviously the hero bolt sniper rifle should just have its ammo refund and headshot be a thing. Now these are ideal changes that I don't expect to make it into the game at all, but I do hope they make it into Space Marine 3, which is the first thing is parry bonus should just be removed for ranged weapons. Like I've said, too many multiplicative modifiers just make the game balancing difficult. And honestly, even though I've maintained that you should always, not always, but you should, like, if you want to maximize your bolt weapons, you want to do parry, it's just not a very intuitive way to play, and neither is it playing to the strength of your bolt weapons, which is shooting from afar. And yeah, remove that for ranged weapons. I think will be a good start. I think base damage should be increased significantly. We should not spend more than, I don't know, like 15 bullets, 10 bullets to kill a single Minoris when we're just shooting at the body. It doesn't feel good in gameplay. It doesn't represent the lore that well. But as it is right now, I don't think this will make it into the game ever. I think the ammo pool for bolt weapons should be reduced, obviously with the caveat that it does more damage. Let's just face it, when you're looking at the auto bolt rifle or like the heavy bolt rifle, do you expect them to put like, do you really expect the magazine they have to have like 30 rounds of miniature rockets sitting inside, when it doesn't even look like it will fit like 10 in there? I just it doesn't, like, visually speaking, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And then I think headshot bonus shouldn't be so big. You shouldn't have two separate modifiers just to emphasize the importance of headshot. I mean, you don't need like 4 times headshot modifier to inform the player that they need to aim for the head. All you need is like 25, 30, 50. 4 is just too much, especially since the to compensate for the fact that headshots do so much more damage, you have to end up making the body shots do no damage. It's just that's exactly what the issue is in Space Marine 2 right now. Now, some conclusions. I think the weapon damage model in Space Marine 2 for the ranged weapons are flawed, and there are very many inherent issues that are contradictory to the nature of the game. It's a very casual game, yet it wants you to play like it's, I don't know, old school CS where you have to aim for the head all the time. And because damage is such an important thing in this game, the weapon variant system provides very few actual choices. Like, because you have to use headshot, you have to get headshots, you have to pick the version with the highest headshot damage, and that happens to be not the damage version, which doesn't make any sense. In any case, you either want the highest damage, which is the accuracy version, or you want more ammo, which is the ammo version, and you will never pick damage version. Unless you're talking about sidearms, but sidearms have their own thing, Gunstrike. And because of that reason, or not because of that reason, but also it just doesn't feel like the iconic weapons of the 40k universe, for the Imperium, that is, the bolt guns, they just don't feel like they're accurately represented, despite the fact that we're playing as hulking Space Marines. The iconic weapon we're using feel like pea shooters at times. And because of that, most of the bolt weapons to this day, I would say, maybe with the exception to the bolt rifle, but just barely, the bolt rifle and the stalker, I think these two are mostly okay, but the rest still feel kind of underbaked to me. And it's sad because the only problem really is with the damage, and that is an issue that can be addressed. It's not impossible to address, and it's just unfortunate that it's still like this to this day, but hopefully that changes. Anyway, I hope in the future the game continues to get developed and more of these issues will be addressed in a methodical way, not a blind wanton, like testing the water kind of way. And I think, and I mean I hope that in Space Marine 3 many of these issues will be gone. And that is it for this video, and hope you guys liked it. I had fun writing this one. I don't necessarily expect this to have as many views as my other videos, but that's just how it is. Anyway, comment down below what you think about the video, and have a good one.